Hey guys, I haven't done a podcast. I've been writing, and I've been exploring some stuff. Um, Actually, check out. I've been trying to learn to play the piano. Um, guys. So, um, real quick, if you've been getting anything out of these podcasts, I hope you've had great success or some success in any way or form that you might measure it in. This episode is a simplicity, and I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible. So, this is important for me to speak about simplicity. I feel like in a world where everything is overcomplicated, we've gotten away from the concept that everything works together and things are really more simple than we would like to believe, because stuff like working hard is simple, but we don't want to work hard, so we complicate it, and sticking to the basics is hard, so we complicate that as well. Simplicity in doing the basics gets placed in the same category as easy, and that's not the same thing at all. And I believe in doing things at the highest level. And to get anywhere near an exceptional level, you have to be able to do the basics constantly well. And this leads to being above average. Now, with a narcissistic vanity that fills online media and the advertising that's out to prey on the lazy and vulnerable folk, which is typically the masses of society now, and it's not hard to see why advertising think tanks have targeted for decades the desperate in hopes of selling their gimmicky get-rich-quick 2-minute solutions. And when it didn't work, they had to scramble to get superstar actors and athletes to endorse their products because they had credibility, right? And sadly, these self-imploding wannabes with a little bit of talent, truckloads of PR, rolled up literally $1 million campaigns so that these vampirical companies could meet quarterly forecasts and keep their investors happy. And what's hilarious, people are sick of the hype. I am. Real people are. Overscripted, manicured to death, hideously overpaid bullcucker, circus monkeys peddling hype that's spinning on a record that no one wants to hear anymore. We don't believe in the bullshit that's been marketed to us. And why should we? It doesn't live up to the hype. Not to me, I don't think. We don't know anyone that believes it, and sadly, you've ruined all credibility you had. This is big business crumbling from the inside, and if it sounds like a tirade, I digress. But to me, it's all sauce and no meat, no salad, and no bun. Looks like the masses are ditching your burger for better cooking. Nutritional value. Where does this connect to what I'm talking about? Simple, clean, no frills bullshit is what we really want. When I say we, I don't mean you, the guys who believes Michael Jordan was a great guy, because there's numerous reports he was a cunt. And although we loved him on court, he wasn't Muhammad Ali, who lost it all for us. We like Iron Mike, but I love the new Mike, who's really the old Mike, and because to me he seems like a normal guy. He doesn't really seem to try and suck up to these big wig types. He'll cut a check, but I still think he doesn't give a fuck. Like Jack Ma. I like Jack Ma, and I don't trust Elon Musk. That's because Jack doesn't seem to care about being super clever or super cool. Jack seems to be simple at heart. And there's a guy called Bruce Lee, child actor, talked about in martial arts circles. He's talked about it's better to use basics than complexity, and I'll get to that in a sec. I saw a quote from Bruce that said, "Simplicity is the key to brilliance." And I thought I would look it up, more quotes about that after. Hey, maybe we can see what amazing Bruce Lee quotes we can see. You wouldn't mind? Put it in the conversation in the comments. Might see some I haven't seen in a while, for good humour, Let me know some quotes from one of the best martial arts actors to ever do it. Side note, we all know he died before Enter the Dragon, and it's been quite a few decades since he was here. Thanks again, Bruce. I'll summarise with something I read about Bruce talking about, and it reminds me of The Art of War, Sun Tzu. Now, Bruce said, you want to use simple tactics and not overcomplicate, because the idea that if you use simple attacks, you can control them, but when you apply strength, speed, timing, and accuracy, all of their goodness, it's hard to stop, especially when you're in control. And he said, if you're using a complicated movement, when you're using complicated movements and attacks, it's hard to control them. And if you're fighting someone that can't execute such a complicated move, it's not long before their openings are exposed. So taking that into consideration, I want to really bring home the idea that simplicity, when executed with ferocity and acute accuracy, is only going to be stopped for so long in a battle of attrition. The ability to absorb pressure is key to winning, but with misdirection, an advanced understanding of tactics. The ability to absorb pressure is the key to winning, but with simplicity and an advanced understanding of tactics, the most simplest forms of countering and misdirection will win out. Sun Tzu understood that it was never the strongest or biggest force that won. It was always the smartest. Real quick, when you come into battle, you come in direct, but once you meet, it's always indirect. So you come into the battle direct, and as you meet directly, you must use more alternative indirect movements. Bringing everything I've mentioned together. Being simple for me is about not overdoing something. In art, the piece is never the most elaborate that makes it finished. The art pieces, you don't put the most elaborate pieces into the art piece to make it finished. The piece is only finished when everything in it has its own place in the piece, and only then is it finished. Like, there's so much stuff to a piece, yet if you've got all these cool pieces and they don't really work in the piece, then they've got to go. Even though they're really cool. That's just the way art is. It's about what is needed. So, the piece is only finished when everything in its place, and the piece has its place. And it's like cooking. No one thing overpowers the dish that you're cooking, like a cake or a sandwich or a soup. There are obviously small differences in a way a chef might make a soup, or the kitchen staff might garnish the cake. But when something is cooked, baked, and served, one of the main keys is everything is in proportion to the creating of the meal and the consistency that it's made to the same standard every time. So if you put too much flour into the cake, it's not right. And if there's not enough certain herb, it's not up to the consistency of that kitchen style, wherever the food would come from. Being simple is all about what you expect and what the people you're serving and work for have paid for. That's key to getting people to pay for it, because at the end of the day, it's quite simple. It's your way, and that's what they're paying for, and it's consistent, which is simple as well. Take away the money and the quality, and the quality will remain, because the same people that are making it, they have a certain standard, and they would uphold regardless those standards, because they love what they do, regardless of the money, because they actually love what they do. Now, they might not work for free, but if you ask them to demonstrate their skill, their standard will be demonstrated in exactly what I'm talking about. They love what they do. In closing, keeping things simple is about doing things well, but to my standard, and to be transparent, not everyone has a high standard, so I can only speak for myself. And when I say keep it simple, I mean try to not overcomplicate what you're doing, but also never scrimp on your expectation of what you expect. If no one likes your level of expectation, you will have to decide if they're on your level. And maybe you'll have to raise your level, which is great to hear. And maybe what they see as simple is different to you, because their level of execution and delivery is high. So you have to ask yourself, do I do better? The better question is, why not do better? And raise your level of simple. So, that was simplicity, and I'll be talking about listening in my next podcast, my next episode. I hope that you fellas are doing well, and you just go forth, do great things in your life. Keep your vibration high, and not for you, for your family. I hope you fellas are staying strong in these challenging times. Um, Gratitude, appreciation, love, and thankfulness. Okay, thanks, guys. Please leave a comment or share this with someone you might think might want to hear it, or even just take what I'm saying and maybe share it around with your friends and family. Okay, cheers.